I suppose all the parties coming together, with both the Prime Minister and the Labour leader Keir Starmer going to Portsmouth today for the 80th anniversary of D-Day and for those commemorations. I'd like to say joining us now is Bill Rammell. He's a former Labour Armed Forces Minister and joins us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, look, the politics is still going on. Security, no doubt, still a big issue in terms of defence spending and when it's going to go up and what is needed, and the, I suppose even like border security aspect to defence spending as well when it comes to illegal migration. But today is a day, the 80th anniversary of tomorrow, June the 6th of the D-Day landings, but the commemorations today, the King and Queen in attendance, Prime Minister, Labour leader in attendance, to, well, remember, those who died for us to, well, do things like have debates and democracy ahead of an election, eh?
Absolutely. I mean, the D-Day landings were the biggest amphibious invasion in the history of warfare. And I think what we're commemorating today and tomorrow is the collective strength and bravery of our troops that liberated us, pushed back Nazi Germany and liberated the whole of Europe. It was an astonishing effort. Many men gave their lives, and it's absolutely right that we remember them and we celebrate what they did on all our behalves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, I mean, we were talking earlier about, I mean, Nigel Farage raised, like, kids don't get taught this stuff in schools anymore. This is absolutely vital. I'm definitely 100%. No one ever mentioned this to me at my comp school back in the 80s, that this was a thing. But, obviously you learn about these things as days go by, and it's very important that people discuss it in the media as well, so people learn more about it. And of course, many of our audience will be been taught this in years beforehand. But this was such a significant turning point in the war, wasn't it? And it really sort of changed the game in terms of the direction the war was going in.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it's absolutely right that young people are taught about what happened. It's one of the things I'm very proud about with regard to Britain. It was real sacrifice, real heroism. My dad went over in the D-Day landings. I think he went over on the 10th or 11th day. And, huge effort. And it turned the war. It was the start of the pushback. We went into France. We went into the Benelux countries. And eventually, of course, and it took about a year, we pushed back and finally took Berlin. And, it was a fight for freedom. It was a fight against fascism. And it's incredibly important that we remember and celebrate it.
And even more so, given how long ago it was and the age of the many young men who were there and how few of them still survived. I mean, 326,000 troops went over a few days, more than 50,000 vehicles, 100,000 tons of equipment, thousands of losses of life. I mean, some men, literally their first experience of war was getting off onto those beaches under German gunfire. Absolutely extraordinary experience. But the last big anniversary, you're looking at quite a few hundred veterans still able to attend. This year, for the 80th, we're looking at a few dozen, and it's really important that we still hear their voices and that we know the sacrifices that were made, so that we can live in freedom now.
Absolutely right, Julia. Age will eventually catch up with everyone. But I think it's right that the voices of their children and grandchildren in decades to come are heard, because it was, it must have been absolutely terrifying to jump off those boats, go up the beaches in Normandy. But they did it with incredible fortitude and heroism.
Yeah.
It's also worth recognising this was a huge multinational effort. Eventually, there were 2 million troops involved from 12 different countries. It was collective sacrifice and collective endeavour that liberated us. And, it doesn't bear thinking about what the world would be like today had Nazi Germany won.
But also, I wonder, whether we'd be up to the fight right now. Now, we've had a pledge from Labour. They want to pass laws for new Armed Forces Commissioner, but also the Armed Forces Covenant. And this is about, how we look after our military men and women. And there's been a real concern about, we've got more people last year leaving the military than joining the military. Part of it is disillusionment, part of it is pay, part of it will be, the accommodation people have. But what do we need to do to make sure that our armed forces are looked after properly? Because Because I have to say, certainly we look at the pay thresholds a lot of these people are on, frankly, I don't know why anyone would be doing that for the sort of money they're being offered. I mean, you could be doing a much easier, safer job than protecting the realm of this country for a lot more money.
Yeah, and I mean, when we were last in government, we did a lot on support for soldiers and airmen and others once they left the military in terms of education and training, in terms of access to housing. But we need to go further. And what Labour is announcing today is a new Armed Forces Commissioner, an independent champion for the military service personnel and their families who can speak up on their behalf, but also new legislation to put into law the Armed Forces Covenant, so that there's a legal remedy for former service personnel to ensure fairness and respect in the economy, in society, and community. And all those commitments, I would say, actually demonstrate the degree to which Keir Starmer has changed the Labour Party.
Thank you for that. Well, yeah, I mean, very different from under Corbyn. Yeah, well, the Veterans Minister, Johnny Mercer, he says he's going to be speaking about their offer to veterans from the Tory Party tomorrow, remembering D-Day. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much indeed, Bill Rammell, former Armed Forces Minister under Labour, also son of a man who fought on the beaches.